Hi everyone, my name is Jenny Gaona and I'm going to be going through Activity 2 from our Porch Talk, a conversation about archaeology in the Texas Panhandle. So Activity 2 is all about mapping Texas and Texas regions, water sources, and where you're going to find Hank's house. So the objective of this activity is for students to familiarize themselves with the regions of Texas, the climate, vegetation, and where you would find different aspects of archaeology and history throughout the state of Texas. So we have our standards listed at the bottom of this page. So you can see what standards this activity is tied to. The second page, the activity guide, lists the activity materials, a reading strategy. So as students are reading through the Porch Talk book, they can underline any geographic reference mentioned in hobby or science. So anytime they find some geography pieces in there, they would underline them and then share out with their group or as a whole group in class. When they're done reading and identifying these regions, they'll partner up and compare. You can have them collaborate however you'd like. The activity instructions for this Mapping Texas are to provide each student with Regions of Texas student notes. There is a PowerPoint that goes along with all of these materials. So as you go through the PowerPoint and are presenting the content about the regions of Texas, students would be filling in their notes. And then they're going to work in small groups to create a map of Texas, labeling the following things. Regions of Texas, they're just going to rough outline where the regions of Texas are on this map, the city where they live, and Hank's house. And once we get through some of those materials, I'll show you what that's going to look like. This is the security briefing or instructions. I like to think of it as the hook. So you read the words of wisdom from Hank the cow dog, because that's engaging, and hopefully your kids know who Hank is. And then it gives some activity instructions for students if you are conducting this activity in small groups as a station and you want them to individually read through the instructions to get going on the activity. The next the next couple pages are Regions of Texas student notes. So you'll see the notes here. And so we have Mountains and Basins region, the Great Plains region, North Central Plains, and the Coastal Plains. So these are the student notes. What you'll notice is that each section, each region of Texas, students will have to fill in landforms, climate, vegetation, and create their map. So on the map of Texas, what they'll do is focus on that region, and then they will fill in some different landforms. They can use whatever shapes in their legend that you think would be appropriate or that they come up with. It's just for them to really practice some map making skills. And then last but not least, on this map, notice we added the waterways, so the map looks a little bit different. Students would label the regions of Texas, where are they on this map with water, the city where they live, and Hank's house. Now, we're not just going to throw them to the deep end with this activity, so we have provided a couple of mapping images for resources for students to access. So the first one is just a Regions of Texas map, so they can use that, and I just tell my students, it doesn't have to be perfect, do the best you can to rough outline the regions of Texas. The next one, they're going to have to use some context clues, what they know about Texas, in order to correctly label Hank's house. I like to make my students look at geographic points in different ways, so they're not always looking at the Texas outline to where they're having to figure out where things might occur. So you can see the rough outline of the panhandle of Texas, so they'll have to look at that in order to orient where Hank's house is. So that is Activity 2, Mapping Texas. Hope you enjoyed it.